Hello and welcome to some of my friends read comics. We've got Vince.
Two trolls, one bridge.
We've got Chris.
Some things can only be cleansed by fire.
And I'm Kia. Welcome to the show. We're going back to I Hate Fairyland. That's both of the quotes. They're from that comic. I Hate Fairyland. When did we read I Hate Fairyland Volume 1? It was a long time ago.
It was back recent. In 2020, episode 134. So almost 100 episodes ago now. So,
wild.
Yeah. What were the dates? August 5th, 2020. So, yeah.
Ooh, deep in the pandemic.
Deep in the pandy, yeah.
Yeah, and then we were struggling to get out of it, just like Gertrude was struggling to get out of Fairyland, and she ended up becoming queen of Fairyland. It's okay. Should we talk much about the book? It's just like a cutesy kind of Wizard of Ozzy, not Wizard of Oz, just like fantasy candy, fluffy world.
Yeah, I actually like it because it's like Alice in Wonderland if Alice was really shitty at like solving riddles and getting out of Wonderland, and then it just gets like also like super like violent. Kia, I think you described it on our previous episode as Ren and Stimpy, but more violent but less gross. For the art aesthetic.
I think that's right.
And I'm like, that's pretty spot on. 4 years later, I still agree with Kia. That's pretty spot on.
Damn, that Kia is smart. So yeah, we're jumping into the second volume. She's now in control of Fairyland. 5 more issues, written and drawn by Skottie Young. My whole desktop just refreshed like it was doing something. Is everything okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're good to go.
Weird. Yes. Okay, let's jump into it then. Issue number 6. I Hate Fairyland, and I thought I had read this before, but apparently I never have. Had y'all read this? Volume 2?
No, I actually loved the book so much I bought all 4 remaining volumes. I think it ended in 2018, although it may have just come back. But I actually, just the way the life went, I didn't end up reading any of it until now. So here we are.
Mm-hmm. Chris?
Yes, I have read this volume, and I had slowly been getting the rest, and now I've got them all, but I have not. I've read through volume 3.
Reading ahead, no spoilers. So straight into issue 6 here. Gertrude is the queen of Fairyland, and we open on like a big old Colosseum scene where this big green, real Sesame Street looking monster is going up against this tiny pink cute little bear, and the bear is of course an unstoppable killing machine. And everyone is like all proud of Gertrude for being the leader. She starts killing everyone. A woman in the audience is so happy that she's killed her husband. Wants her autograph. And she's bigger. She's got big queenly hair. She really looks the part until we find out that she has been dreaming. Her life is not nearly as exciting. It's very Emperor Doom. I feel like ever since we read Emperor Doom, we keep running into examples of the situation where he's in charge, but he just doesn't want to be in charge. It's all bureaucracy, signing papers. He doesn't want none of it. She does stab a quill into somebody's eye, which is we're not going to mention every time she draws blood from somebody, but it happens a lot. Almost everybody she meets. Being queen sucks. So we get like a year-long montage of her attending events around the world and accidentally killing people. And then she's just kind of depressed. None of it's going well. She hides herself away in the castle. There's lots of conversations happening around the world about how bad the queen is and how things have fallen ever since she took over. And there's a bunch of bottles having this conversation, like empty bottles that are like in a wheelbarrow talking to each other. Like, boy, you won't catch me around that castle. Until they realize they're being delivered to the queen so that she can pee in these bottles and never leave her room. Great joke.
Oh, my bog. What could the queen possibly want with us?
Larry. Oh, we haven't even mentioned Larry. Larry's the little flying. What is it? What is his deal?
He's a fly.
He's like a
He's
fly.
her assistant. Yeah. I don't remember if we clarified in the last one or if we learned, but it seems like he's immortal. But I'm not entirely sure. It seems like he can't be killed, but he's definitely like her assistant. And he's gone through like his own like trials and tribulations as the book went on. Like I think. Because this book has taken place over like 27 years already. Like she's been trapped in Fairyland like a long time, but she hasn't aged. So she's still just a child. She's just really bad at escaping. And she became queen at the end of the last thing. But like during that time is a montage to show the passage of time. Like Larry got married, divorced, got drunk, burned down his house, like all in the background So it's a lot of sight gags in this book, and Skottie Young is just like really, really good at drawing this like super brightly colored, kind of like Happy Tree Friends, but I would say honestly way better art and way more interesting, Candyland shit, and then with a lot of blood. So here we go.
Yes, it's hard to get that across on a podcast sometimes because a lot of the plot is very basic and simple, but the just all the little embellishments are what makes this book really special. But Larry is telling her that winter is coming, and we learn that this is Harriet Winter, head of HR, for Gertrude's 1 year review as the queen, and she's done terrible and she's fired. And Gertrude is very happy. They ask her to tidy up a bit before she leaves, so that's Chris's quote. She burns the place down, the only way to cleanse it, and she runs off to some new adventures.
She blows up the castle with a big cloud that says "boom" in the fire cloud, which is chef's kiss, beautiful. And I also like how this book, I think we talked about it last time, but like whatever status quo it thinks you're gonna have, like, oh, I guess like volume 1 she accidentally became queen, so volume 2 she's gonna be queen for the rest of the arc at least. I'm like, fuck it, we're done. I don't give a shit. We are burning through plot. We don't care anymore. This status quo is no longer there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So straight into issue number 7 here. We meet a little boy who's dressed as a dragon for Halloween. He does appear to be in a regular version of Earth. And he wants to drink all the special Halloween flavors at the Magic Mart. And he does. He's loving it. And he has to go pee. So the clerk gives him the outhouse key, which sends him through a magic portal, presumably to Fairyland. Meanwhile, Gertrude is in a tavern, trying to investigate like a world jumper of some sort that she's learned about. There's a bunch of information about like all these legends and whatever in the castle libraries, and of course she did not do any research herself, but she got her cloud slaves. They're like little cloud. Oh, Claudia was like the old queen.
Yes,
I guess
the queen.
Yeah. And she is trying to be a better person. She's going the pacifist route. She asks the bar owner if he kindly has any information about whatever, and he is not having it. She's like, "Hey, you were a terrible queen. I have to pay more taxes now because of you and the bad deals that you made." And he threatens to kill her. So of course she defends herself. She's like, I really tried, Larry." He's like, "I'm proud of you." Gertrude has now been in Fairyland for 30 years. She's thinking about what it's going to be like when she gets back. Larry is wondering if time even works the same way, like in her world connected to this world. Also wondering if she really does want to leave. They go to a pack rat's place. He had a Purvis pedal steel. It's a pretty good name for a pack rat. He's got a ton of stuff. He is a collector of things that have made their way to Fairyland from Earth. So just like a whole bunch of random shit, just nothing particularly useful. He's got
Just
dolls,
like checker sets,
yeah. A little one of those riding horse things that are outside the grocery stores. What do you call those? Mechanical toy.
I would have remembered it if you hadn't just said, but yeah. Do they even have those anymore? Where you put a quarter? I'm sure.
I feel like some places have them.
I'm sure they've. I wonder if you like tap your card to it to pay for it for it now.
Kids don't have cards.
No, they do. They have them at the mall. My kids used to love that shit. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they did. I don't know if we did in front of Walmart, but we definitely did like at the mall. Yeah.
Yeah.
They love the.
Well, anyways, this pack rat has one. He's the only place to get one nowadays. She's wondering, hey, is there anything that could actually like send me back to my world? And he says, I might have something, but I want something in return. Whispers it in her ear because it's kind of dark. He wants to stuff her body if she dies. Which seems like a bad deal to make with somebody who's like doing something experimental with it. But he takes her to an airbrushed van that he has collected with a unicorn on the side. It's got like satellites and like a bunch of equipment at the top.
This really reminds me of that Pixar movie Onward, which is a few years after this, honestly. It was that Chris Pratt, Tom Holland movie that came out like a week before the pandemic and then got thrown on Disney Plus immediately because it bombed. But that was like similar, like Troll Guys in Fairyland, and they had like a airbrushed van like this. So that's what
Never heard of that movie.
Yeah, don't check it out. It's not that good.
Yeah, I remember hearing not great things about that one. And was it Luca or whatever? Another
Oh,
one that came out
don't
that
get me
people
started with
like.
Luca. Diana, my daughter, loves Luca. Luca's a great film. Luca's good. Onward,
That one's
not so
that
good.
one's better.
Yes. I mean, I've seen
What about
I saw
what about the
Luca.
elementals? Is it okay to be racist against people who are made of fire?
I don't know. Elemental, I didn't watch. I liked Turning Red a lot though, and Lightyear was okay. Is that all the
All
Pixar?
right, that's
Is that all the Pixar movies that have come out since the
yeah, that's
pandemic?
all the last 5 years of Pixar movies.
Yeah. Inside Out 2 is
Sounds like
coming out. Yeah.
y'all made up a bunch of movies. None of those are real. I've
Turning
never
Red is
heard of a single
great.
one.
Turning Red is really good.
That's
So,
Pixar?
yeah. Yeah, it's the one
Oh,
with the
no,
girl
it's not.
turns into the red panda. It's a period
Yeah, it's
metaphor.
basically Teen Wolf, yeah,
Yeah.
but with a panda.
Yeah.
That sounds
Eh,
interesting.
yeah.
All right.
But anyway, Onward not that good. I Hate Fairyland much better. So
Much
if you
better.
moderately liked Onward, keep reading this book.
So Purvis the pack rat says, presumably this van made it to our world, so we can make it back, but it is out of gas. We don't have any like gasoline here in our world. The closest thing is dragon water, which is dragon piss. And the problem is you can't find dragon piss anywhere because dragons only pee once or twice in their lifetime.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, that's a pretty nice little plot detail. I didn't know that about dragons. And they're like, where are we going to find a dragon? And at that moment, this outhouse falls from the sky, lands on the ground, busts open. This dragon is standing there. A little boy in a dragon suit, but they don't know that. And he just yells, I have to pee, which is some great luck on their part. They grab a funnel, make him pee in the van. A big conversation about pee while he's peeing, and then everyone has to pee. Yep, one of those things. And they are like, okay, we're ready. So Gertrude and this dragon boy, Duncan, is his name. Gertrude and Duncan get in the van. They're going to blast off. And they go off a giant cliff and they start flying and they stop flying and they fall down. We get another explosion with another big boom. And nothing happened. Onward to the next episode. Issue. We get a little soothsayer here, who is a blind soothsayer trying to read their future for them. They give him a new pair of eyes, which is very kind. They're kind of moldy and gross. Where did they get these eyes? Do we know?
You just reach into Larry's hat, pull him out.
Oh, yes. Larry always has a bunch of stuff in his hat there. And in exchange for the eyes, he gives them a one-up coin that they have to take to the Tower of Battle. It's a giant arcade machine. They make it there. They put the coin in. They get digitized into it, and we get a different art style, presumably. So Skottie Young could work on some other projects for this month. It's a very anime art style here for the fighting game that they're stuck in.
Very anime, also like very digital art. It honestly looks like my company's art. Antarctic Press's comics. A lot of the way it's just like drawn. I'm gonna bet honestly this looks like it's not inked at all. I think this person looks like the way it looks is it's usually they do like pencil drawings, skip the inking, and went straight to digitization. Is my guess, just based on the way that it looks like. Pascal Ferry also had a similar art style back in the day. It's just the way the line work looks and the coloring.
I can see that. I really dislike it. I
don't like it either. I don't like, but it makes it quicker. But I don't.
It's
like this
fine. Like I don't hate it, but the blurry backgrounds like rubbed me the wrong way with such a clean, flat image. I don't know why. It just like I look at it and I'm like, it's pretending to be real, but it's not real.
Probably, honestly, they took a photograph and then blurred it. They probably did the photo reference from the back of the internet.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't
My
think so.
comic company would never have done that.
No.
Ever.
No,
Ever.
I think they drew one picture of this like field of combatants and then blurred that for every other background image.
Oh,
I think
that actually is what it looks like, because like definitely like the Fatal Blow panel, like that thing has like a wide version of that same thing, like a stack of TVs. There you go. Yeah.
Anyways, this is a quick issue to read at least, because it is almost an interlude here with being in this arcade machine. There's a fat cat, knows a way to get her out. She wants to use the code, but you'll have to win a tournament. And he says, if you lose, I get your dragon. So first she has to fight Glam Bam, and a bunch of other people. And then the boss is pretty princess, who is way more muscular than she looks when she removes her cape. And Gertrude loses, gets spit out, loses Duncan. That's kind of it. She gets beat up real bad. Yeah. And Duncan the dragon is, I guess, gone from the party at this point. Sorry, Duncan. It's nice having you as part of the status quo for an issue and a half.
This artist, I don't know if we mentioned, it's Jeffrey Chamba Cruz. He's an Australian artist.
Sorry, Jeffrey. Sorry we didn't like your art.
Yeah. It is. I don't. It doesn't quite commit either to being like retro sort of, Mega Man-y pixel arty, or like, I mean, because the cat is like this sort of Ghibli-looking cat, but yeah. I just don't feel like it's very consistent in what they're going for.
Yeah, it's not like a Neo Geo King of Fighters art style or anything like that. It's like that art style, yeah.
That's just its own thing.
I would have preferred that.
Yeah.
Street Fighter, I guess, is a more common.
Yeah. Capcom, pixel art style that I think we all are familiar with.
All right, well, on to issue 9. I really like the cover for issue 9 with Gertrude coming out of Larry's hat, just green blood all over the place, splattering the axe. Like every big splash page, every cover, they're all so good. What are we doing here?
I love just the design of Gertrude. Like, she looks like such a demented version of Calvin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, her curls work really well. She, like, expands really well for, like, all of her teeth. And then, Chris, you said that, like, she's pretty consistent in the missing tooth she has. Like, it looks like a canine or a molar, is what you had said a few years ago. But, yeah, she's a good design. And she's very flexible for the cartooniness of this, because it's not a very, like, realistic art style, to its credit.
Yeah. Even the one-off characters, though, here and there's some that just like, oh, that's right. There was a character, I think, in one of the issues that has like a long beard, and Gertrude accidentally kills him, and there's guts spilling out of the beard, like a beard was a part of his body filled with guts. I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, it's when she stabbed him with the ceremonial scissors.
Of course. On to the next issue here. Another real one-off. Gertrude is playing a wizard poker game of some sort. But like all the cards are horny. There's like a wizard's rod, knight's bone, or maybe those are like the name of the poker hands or whatever it is. Vince, your quote came from here: 2 trolls, 1 bridge.
Yep.
Good joke. Gertrude loses to some wizard, but she says, "Hey, I'll trade you. Like you like to collect rare animals and stuff. I have a catastrophon I can trade for you." Like, Larry, get the catastrophon. He's like, I can't find it. And there's too much junk in Larry's hat from all the adventures they've had that they've collected. So Gertrude's got to go in there and find this pet. And she jumps in and has essentially a big old war in there against the lints. I guess just all the lint that's in the hat. And there's also people that she's kidnapped and thrown in the hat that are living in there that she meets, and just a big old war between them. Everyone in there dies, which is sort of sad for a second until she realized that's for the best. I was never going to do anything with these people. There's a big old lint monster that they all collect into. She's asking for help, but Larry is out there in the real world macking with some octopus babe. Yeah. He's like, I don't hear a thing. And the catastrophon shows up and eats the lint. Hooray, Deus Ex Machina. It seems like I didn't realize other people hooked up at this poker game as well. That ghost with that mustachioed muscle man. Very nice, very nice. They bust out of there. That's pretty much it. The Gertrude afterwards is like, well, Larry, is that a hickey? And he's like, yeah, they were really, really torturing me and choking me and stuff while you were in there. Like, yeah, they use lavender vanilla oil too. Like, yeah, they're twisted. Oh, and she does not give up the catastrophon. Of course, she just goes back and kills everybody with it. Great. Good to know. The moon. We hadn't mentioned the moon. The moon, I think, showed up a lot more in the first volume, or the sun.
The moon and the sun, and there was also a narrator every issue that she killed.
Yeah.
Which I think is But I think the narrator also worked on behalf of Queen Claudia. So that may be explain why there's no narrator now.
Yeah, she forgot to hire one. Bad queen.
I do kind of miss the narrators. They would all be like, fantasy characters.
Yeah, it was very much like, oh my god, they killed Kenny kind of bit that you knew it was going to come every issue.
Yeah.
And on to issue 10, the last issue in this volume. Gertrude is at some corridor where she has to make a choice. The guard is like, one is leading to everything that you desire. The other one leads to darkness. Except Gertrude keeps making him repeat it because she just can't pay attention for the life of her. And she's like, I recognize that I can't pay attention and I'm trying. But it's just like my brain is like, okay, you got to pay attention now. While I'm thinking about that, I'm missing.
I love how bad she is at this.
She's really bad at this, yeah. And we flash forward to see her choice. It's 100 years in the future, and it's been terrible. It's post-apocalyptic versions of Gertrude and everybody else. There's a giant dragon that looks mysteriously like maybe Duncan mutated into giant size, and he's attacking. Gertrude has a cool mohawk, but it's still like her curls sticking up. It's like 4 tubes coming up in the shape of a mohawk. They've got a new.
Might be missing an eye. Also, it's definitely white.
Yes,
she's got the cable style.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Larry is super old. Everyone keeps ragging on Gertrude for that wrong decision she made 100 years ago, including the new guy. Who? What's his name? Did they name him? No, but he's so excited to be there, and he has also brought it up 6 times in the past few days. So there's like, I really want to meet this, like, there's a cute little robot on their team too. There's a witch. I think that might be the same witch who was at the poker party. Lots of good characters who I would like to know more about, but especially that cool robot. He looks so happy.
What's a little like Clank from Ratchet and Clank?
Oh, a little bit.
It reminds me of TikTok from Return to Oz.
TikTok.
Oh, well, I mean, that would Skottie Young did all those Wizard of Oz books. So
yeah. You might have drawn TikTok, the robot that has to be wound up, or the mechanical man, that has to be wound up.
I remember him looking more mustachioed. Is that not the case?
Yes, in the movie he has a mustache.
I see, but not in the comics.
I don't know. I haven't read the comics.
I think Return to Oz was like a new property. I don't think it was based on L. Frankbaum. Well, but you could listen to Your Stupid Minds.
It was a adaptation of several.
Okay, is that what it went?
L. Frankbaum books.
How many Oz books are there? I remember there being like way more than you think there are.
There's like 15 or 20.
Young did 4 of them for Marvel. They're all like 8 issues each. The art was really great on them, and then he did this, I think, right afterwards. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, like those might be worth checking out. I don't know if we do them for our show, but like his Wizard of Oz adaptations, actually going back to like Baum's books, they looked very pretty, and I think they're all on Marvel Unlimited because I think it's public domain. So go check those out. If you like this, go check out where it's a little more normal of a fairy tale story. Probably less bloody too.
Yeah, this is Skottie Young working out his his being frustrated about doing kids books for however long because he has a very cartoony style.
I feel like the first time I ever saw him, it was like on a House of M tie-in, like House of M Fantastic Four or some shit like that.
I definitely read like the X-Babies and I forget what the Avengers kids were called. Maybe they were called Avengers Kids. I don't know. But it was like a lovely little one-shot with Skottie Young. And he did a few X-Babies. Was that him, X-Babies? Or am I thinking of somebody else? I don't know.
U.S. Avengers?
Could have been him.
No, that's later. Yeah, he does look like he did like a lot of Marvel Babies variant covers.
He did not do X-Babies at all.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm talking.
There you have it.
Also, there were 14 original Oz books, and other people have written more. There's 40 total now.
Yeah, like I said, I thought between 15 and 20, so I was close. 14.
We should do the Oz books for our next long read. the novel.
No, we should do Zardoz. That's Zardoz is the Wizard of Oz, so...
He did the new X-Men book, yeah? Like the 04 Grant Morrison one? Like 6 issues of it? Like 37 to 43?
Oh, Skottie Young?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about L. Frank Baum. I was
No, yeah,
not
L. Frank Baum.
expecting
They got him out of death
Back
to
to
go
Grant.
right to hit for him and Grant Morrison to team up. Yeah.
a Marvel exclusive.
Was he an inker or something? Because I don't think he was the penciler for
Yeah, that's a weird choice, right?
X-Men for like 5 issues. Because I remember, I mean, it was, God, it was really ugly pencils for the secondary artist when Frank Quietly wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember you reading that though, Kia, New X-Men. We
And
never
I
read
definitely,
that.
yeah, I definitely don't remember any Skottie Young in that book.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
he
it
might
was
have
like
been.
backup stories.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
may have been a backup artist, or like I said, I was thinking maybe an inker over something, but I don't know.
All right, let's get back to the
yeah.
thing. 100 years in the future, dragon attacking. All of Gertrude's friends are dying. All is lost. Larry says, "Wait a minute. I think I know a spell. I can sacrifice myself to send you back in time so you can make the right choice." And he is very actually happy to sacrifice himself. We see him burn up, and he goes, "Finally." And she goes back in time. Is talking to herself, saying, "Hey, okay, you have to pay attention to me. I'm you from the future." And they detail all the wrong decisions she has made over the last 100 years, and draw a big old map on the wall, connecting everything to everything. Lots of notes. And I was like, "All right, you got all that, Gertrude?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got all that." And seems like at the end of this issue, she picks the wrong way again. Womp womp. A real womp womp moment.
So I haven't read Volume 3, Kia, and I guess Chris has. How much do they pick up on this thread in the next volume of like her fighting the future, or is this just like something else they abandoned? Like in
Question me? I haven't read it. I thought I read it.
I think there's at least like one because they'll have like the end last page gags of stuff happening. I think there's one reference to Duncan. I think that's
the extent of it, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of it, believe it or not. I mean, things still go badly. So in that sense, it is a continuation.
I do want to call out one of these variant covers here. Did y'all read out of the trade? Yes, you said you both have the trade here. One of these variant covers appears to have nothing to do with anything. It's just Tinkerbell getting punched by like a bandaged hand, and eyes exploding out of the head, teeth everywhere, blood everywhere. I just love this picture. That's all I wanted to say. It has nothing to do with anything. It's so violent. I shouldn't love it. But there's something about it that I'm like, man, what a good image. That's all.
It is like, yeah, if you were in high school and wanted like something to put on like your algebra book, like this feels like an album cover from like 1999.
Yeah. I'm going to turn it into a sticker and put it all over my walls. And my house.
I like this other variant cover where she's throwing her uniform question mark in the trash like Spider-Man.
Yeah, giving the middle finger on her way out. Oh, the little bottle. I didn't notice this bottle says after Romita Sr.
Yeah, I mean, since it is a Spider-Man 50 homage.
Very nice. But that's the second volume. It's weird because I still enjoyed reading it and everything, but it felt like so much more one and done compared to the first book. But I think the first book was also very one and done, so I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
But I think I feel like I did not like this nearly as much. We really liked the first volume, and I think the first volume had like a more forward narrative of Queen Claudia was trying to kill Kurt every issue, and Queen Claudia I think actually was good, but it's still like she's functioning as like the evil witch queen that's trying to kill this, but she's trying to kill this threat to her universe because Gertrude is just murdering everything throughout all of Fairyland. Like she needs to put a stop to her. And like coming up with different schemes to do it. And so that didn't have this forward narrative, so it just felt like Gert just doing shit, and didn't have like a very strong antagonist. And I mean, honestly, like Gertrude is not that great of a protagonist, like to like hang your hat on. Like she's interesting in the like she's always like a failure, but I don't feel like she has that much like of a deep like inner thoughts to hang a book on. So I think the first arc worked a lot better than this. I don't know if we'd go back to a third episode, but I really like that first arc so much. So I don't know.
It's quick enough. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it did feel very aimless compared to the first book, and it's not like it actually wasn't aimless, because there was like, okay, I'm going after this type of thing or going after that type of thing, but they were also disconnected and unrelated to each other, and all introduced like in the episode that they are part of, and that's it, and then dropped. So I think that's what kind of made it feel a little disconnected. But like I said, still a fun read. It's so quick that it's like, I don't feel too bad about reading that, even if it wasn't like perfect and incredible. Yeah. Chris, you got anything? You had read this before.
Yes.
How is it a second time?
I think I kind of agree with Vince. I do think this is weaker than the start. It is, and I think it's interesting. I mean, we've done other comedy books, and I know we have not. Some of our least favorite books have been comedy books. So I do think it's worth like pointing out, and it's hard to just explain in a podcast, but like there's funny parts in this. This is pretty funny. Mm-hmm. There's good sight gags. There's good jokes. But it is like. This is almost like a Ren and Stimpy-ish, like this is artist forward, like funny sight gag. Like there's, Gertrude is when she can't pay for something, she has like big eyes, and it's just like, oh, you hurt me, a harmless little girl, and stuff like that. That is just, it's a funny image first, and then serving the story kind of second. And so it's, if you care about narrative, you may not like this book that much because there's not that much of it. It's just, if you like that like Ren and Stimpy art forward style, that's what it is.
Yeah. All right, final verdict. Is it funnier or not funnier than Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham?
It's funnier.
It's funnier, but I don't know. Some of Mary Jane's song parodies.
The thing is, it was pretty good, but I think Chris like upped one last time we were like Prance was better than Prince, and he should have been a reindeer instead of a horse. Mm-hmm. To Chris's credit, and also I looked up. Skottie Young did the new X-Men run after Grant Morrison's run, so that's
okay. That makes more sense. All right. Well, anything else to say about Fairyland before we move on to our long read here, which I didn't even introduce at the beginning of the episode, did I? Thunderbolts, number one. We're going to do that.
I bet our listeners have been thinking like, oh, they abandoned that. They just ended with Earth X. It broke them, right?
Did you say Earth Sex?
Earth Sex, the special one-shot.
Yeah. That was where the universe began anew after Earth X, Part X.
Pretty good. Yeah, I think we're ready to jump onto Thunderbolts, though. Let's do it. Thunderbolts.
Ooh, They're making a movie of it, right? This is what this is going to be based. The movie's going to be based on.
Yeah. Elaine's going to be the star of Thunderbolts.
I can't wait. We'll see how that turns out. I'm not going to think about it. But this is the late '90s here, '97. It was all of the heroes, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four had just been killed, presumably, during the Onslaught saga.
Is that Heroes Reborn?
Yeah, they're really in a little pocket world, but nobody knows that right now. Okay. So the heroes are all dead. And this is a superhero team that was, being built up as Marvel's next new big superhero team. And they're going to kind of be the replacement for the Avengers, sort of. But I guess, at the time that this was coming out, they were pretty tight-lipped about what the secret was about it, from what I understand. The cover, number one, says discover the shocking secret behind Marvel's newest champions. We'll see what it is. Years later, I want to be able to talk about it as we go. So, years later, the spoiler is that they're all villains. They're the masters of evil, led by Baron Zemo, kind of using this concept. As a prime opportunity to, pretend to be here.
I was telling one of my friends about this, and I was like, can you just imagine, like, it's one of those, like, great, like, concepts, like, if a bunch of supervillains just decided to pretend to be heroes and then got to be friends with like the Avengers or the Justice League or whoever, learned all their secret identities and then wrecked shit. And I'm like, that's a good clean concept. Like if Michael Keaton's Vulture character from the Spider-Man movie led a team and they all wore their masks and didn't tell the Avenger, well, because I guess the Avengers are kind of like dispersed anyways in the MCU. And like, oh, we're a new team of heroes. And then like Shang-Chi and everybody becomes friends with them and they just wreck shit. That'd be great. I would watch the shit out of that movie. It looks good.
I mean, but as a this existing in a pre-The Boys world, I mean, what I like about it is that like half the characters really aren't that evil, and they're like actually being a hero kind of good.
Yeah.
I think that's where the
So-
turn is, right? The like, I mean, and I think it's honestly like with no spoilers, the characters I know by their code names and not by their fake code names here. Those are the ones that I'm like, oh, okay, like you're like, because I'm like, who is that? Like you're gonna probably stay bad, but the one I'm like, oh yeah, I know you, you're good. So that's probably how it's gonna turn out.
Oh yeah, I bet I know.
Twists.
Looking at the big group shot, I bet I know who you don't recognize.
Yeah. We haven't mentioned, is this written by Kurt Busiek, who was writing The Avengers when they came back as well around this time? We just read some of that recently.
Dude,
Yeah,
like
that's a year later. Yeah, they came back.
I was thinking about Kurt Busiek and how many of these long reads have been Kurt Busiek joints between JLA Avengers and Marvel's. Is that it, honestly, that we read?
I mean, he does write dense books sometimes.
So
Yeah.
we spread them out for our long reads. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We did Avengers Forever too, didn't we?
That was a
one?
two-parter. That was a
Oh,
two-parter.
that was a two-part.
Yeah, and then also what did he do? Astro City, obviously,
Mhm.
was a very big one. But we spent a lot of time with Kurt Busiek over the years.
Yep.
And this, boy, howdy, does this book read like the introduction of a super team book. This could have been a Squadron Supreme issue, the way this first issue was until the end.
Yeah. And art by Mark Bagley, who, really good art.
He's a year away from Ultimate Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he leaves this book to do Ultimate Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah.
Although he stays on Thunderbolts for a while. I think he's there until 24.
Something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That dude was doing like 18 issues a year on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, he has some bad faces in this book. I like his art, but he's working fast.
Yeah.
Blame the inker. It's the inker's fault.
He was a big Clone Saga artist also right before this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, like we said, it is a dense book, so I think we should get into it here. Let's just start going through. We start with a news recap about all the heroes being gone. This reporter is standing next to
our girl Megan McLaren, last seen in that Avengers book we just read.
Yes, our friend of the show, Megan McLaren. And she's standing next to some burning rubble, which is a result of the disaster, all that. There's a little girl named Hallie Takahama. She's watching from the shadows in the rubble, and a masked man chloroforms her from behind. Oh, no.
She's a teenager, not a little girl. But
Okay, yes, teenager.
She's old now, Chris. Teenagers are
yeah,
little
I'm
now.
just saying she's about to be a Thunderbolt in a couple of issues. Don't be surprised.
And this reporter is being very specific in their examples. Like, now that the Avengers and Fantastic Four are gone, who will save us from the subterranean lava men, or Blastar, or the Frightful Four? Or how about the Masters of Evil and their leader, Baron Zemo? Let's make sure we get a nice big picture of them, so if we can see them.
Yeah, we gotta know who the Masters of Evil, because they may come into play later.
Yeah,
but the Frightful Four, who have changed their identities and membership several times, like Megan, that's a bit too much detail.
It is kind of silly, but it does make sense in terms of like, all right, you didn't want to give it away, so you make sure to mention lots of villains, and it's kind of awkward to mention so many specific villains.
Yeah, it is funny, because it's not like, I don't know that this team of the Masters of Evil, it's sort of the group that attacked the Avengers, but I think they have changed a couple, and Yellow Jacket is in that group, and she's dead. So it's like, well, we don't have to worry about her.
Definitely the only person of the Masters of Evil I knew when I first read this 20 years ago was Zemo. And that's only because I knew him from the Brubaker's Captain America run. So that's where I'm coming in from.
Well, we have since we read that Avengers Under Siege, where the Masters of Evil took over Avengers Mansion and beat everybody up. And it was most of the group that's pictured here, Tiger Shark, Mr. Hyde.
And that was Busiek and Perez after this?
No, that was Roger Stern and I think Sal Buscema.
I'm thinking
John
of Ultron,
Buscema.
whatever. Yeah, no, Under Siege. Yeah, we did read that. Yeah.
And you really don't need to know these villains before either.
And Mach 1 was one of the friends in Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Yes.
The guy who shows up to just kind of be Boomerang's better than him friend.
I think he's like his parole officer or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think he's Mach 4 or 5 at that time as well.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, back to here. We got a group called the Rat Pack. They are scavengers and looters, and they're getting a bunch of stuff from the wreckage. I guess they have a new boss who's looking for something as well. And our heroes show up. Our new heroes. We start with Citizen V. He's a sword dude who's draped in an American flag. And he has kind of like I don't know, like a metallic mask, a white mask. I don't know what that is.
Red, white, and blue, but then suspiciously has Baron Zemo's purple costume.
A lot of purple.
Yeah, a lot of purple.
Look, I feel comfortable fighting in this costume. I'm not going to change that part of it. I'll put on some extra accoutrements, but I'm not changing that part because I don't want to affect my range of motion.
He does tell him the V is for victory. It's not the Roman numeral. Okay, good to know. Then the rest of his team shows up. We've got Atlas, who can grow big and bullets bounce off of him. Songbird is flying around with some pink energy stuff around her. Mach 1 has like a flying robot suit. And Meteorite is kind of like a cool, flamey looking lady.
Yeah, I don't know Meteorite, but I do know her other name.
And Techno has like a tech backpack of stuff.
Yeah, he'll be on the team forever.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, Meteorite. Sorry, Meteorite's her bad name. It's Moonstone.
Yeah, but we don't find that.
Sorry, I said
end.
it wrong. Yeah. I said it wrong.
No, you said it right, and then Vince was like, "I don't know who Meteorite is."
Yes, she's going by Moonstone. No, her old name is Moonstone.
No, she is going by Meteorite in this at this.
Good girl, good guy name.
Only,
good guy
Vince
name.
only knows her as Moonstone because she doesn't stick with it.
She does not stick with Meteorite. Yes. Okay. So the news starts to get wind of this fight, and they start to show up while we keep seeing more of the fight. Techno does not follow orders. Did I mention Techno? He's got like a tech backpack of stuff. Yeah. He doesn't follow orders. He almost gets Atlas hurt, but Meteorite makes it safe.
He's your hothead.
Yeah. Songbird basically has like Green Lantern powers, but they're pink and come from her vocal cords. Cool. And she saves Mach 1 with like a bubble shield thing. Then the Rat Pack escapes through the tunnels. And Atlas is like worried that they've gotten away clean. And Citizen V is like, oh, it's okay. We've at least made our presence known. They'll know that the city is under the protection of the Thunderbolts. Which is like, it is a nice scene. It is like, oh yeah, they'll know that the city's under their protection. But it's like, no, that's all you wanted. You just want everyone to know that you're here.
It's a good double meaning because you're like, oh yeah, like no, because you're like, oh yeah, my good guys. They're like the new warriors. They're showing up. They're making their claim. Like, don't fuck with New York. You know, this is our city. Spider-Man's here. You know, that kind of stuff, right? And that's not what they mean, but I like that. That's what we think it means.
I do appreciate, we mentioned the purple in Citizen V's costume, that it is just like he took his own costume and put the American flag on it. And he's like, people will like this.
Yeah, it's no fascists ever do that, right?
If I'm literally draped in the flag, people will know I'm a good guy.
Yeah. So back at their hideout, Techno is complaining about it being kind of a dump. And he's like, hey, there's hidden bases from the Green Goblin and Doc Ock all over town.
That's kind of fun.
Couldn't we just like go to one of those?
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, like, but wait, why has he mentioned villain layers? And not hero layers. Okay.
I do love that they're just like on the second floor of like a abandoned pizzeria.
Yes, it's very rundown. But they all have their own rooms there. It's like just the shittiest little apartment building. And Citizen V says, hey, we don't have the funding to maintain a high-tech base right now. This place is fine for our mission. And Techno kind of still starts giving him lip, but he gives Techno a look to make him fall silent, which is very impressive considering he's wearing that giant mask.
Hey, he's been wearing other masks and intimidating people through that mask for years.
He really does know how to emote well through like a purple sock, doesn't he? God. So there's also a nice heartfelt moment between Mach 1 and Songbird. Like, oh, thanks for saving me. Oh, a little bit of a what's going to go on with these two. Meteorite notices this, and she's like, oh, that was fast, even for her. And she goes to check on the others. Atlas is kind of bummed because Techno's hot-shotting could have gotten him killed. He hates not being able to trust his teammates, and he's like a military guy. Meteorite says, oh, go ahead.
I love Meteorite / Moonstone because she really, like, in the same way that, X-Men comics always made Cyclops' leadership a superpower, she uses therapy as like an evil power. She's like, I, as a psychotherapist, know exactly what's happening with Songbird. I know exactly what's happening with Atlas. I know exactly what's happening with Techno. And it's just like, I love it that she's so manipulative and recognizes even when other people are unconsciously being, acting in a way. Like I love this character. She's so like such a good agent of chaos, and that she is just like immediately pushing buttons.
Mm-hmm. And she tells Atlas, like, hey, don't worry, let me and Citizen V take care of the big picture. So we do get some sort of impression that maybe she is like a little bit more important than everybody else on the team. I don't know. Techno, meanwhile, has made up a little robot for himself that's serving him drinks in his room.
Another happy robot. Look at him.
It's a very cute robot. I love this robot. Meteorite shows up and does not like this robot. She says, what is this? Didn't we discuss this already? This lovely robot offers her a drink. Says, would you like a Manhattan or a banana daiquiri? Or no. Meteorite destroys it.
It's got a massive cooling element in that robot.
Yeah. She says the helicopters, the newscopters saw them returning to their base, so they're going to be here soon, clean this up. And they do show up. They have a little press conference outside. And they answer a lot of questions. Citizen V says they're not heroes. They're just volunteers trying to do their best in a troubled world. Yes, he's the grandson of the original Citizen V who fought fascism during World War II.
So that's only a half lie, though, because he is this Zemo. I don't know if we actually explicitly said this is Baron Zemo. We've just been beating around the bush. It's Baron Zemo, but he's the great grandson of the Baron Zemo from World War II, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Grandson?
He is, I think, just the son of the World War II Baron Zemo, but it's because he's been like kept alive. He like fell in a vat of acid or whatever.
Okay.
So he would be older, but it's comics.
Yeah, yep. But it's not the OG Baron Zemo.
No,
not that much comics.
That guy's dead.
Yeah, okay. There's Helmut Zemo and I forget what the other one is named. They have different first names.
Okay.
There's a one of the reporters asked kind of a weird question for Meteorite, being like, "Isn't it dangerous out there for a woman?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's dangerous out there for everyone. We're just gonna fight." What else did they say? Are you here to replace the Fantastic Four and the Avengers? They say nobody can replace them. We're just doing our best. They ask Atlas if his growing powers are related to Hank Pym's. And he's like, well, sort of, but we have to keep our backgrounds a secret to give us more of an edge against the villains. Good answer.
They've had media training. I like it.
Yeah. How they chose the name, it was a poem by Thomas Randolph, Justice Like Lightning. They're all amateurs, and they're like, yeah, we want to add heroes to the world, not just shuffle heroes around. Then they all split up, so everyone...
That's good. I like that. Good old Kurt Busiek saying, like, not like the Thunderbolts movie where it's like, hey, all these heroes are just like sitting around not doing anything. I guess we'll put them in a movie together. Which is because it's like Black Widow's sister and Bucky because they just don't have fuck all to do with them. Like Black Widow's dad. There's all.
Bucky was in the Thunderbolts for a long time. Not this incarnation, but he was a part of it. Yeah. I think he's a part of it right now.
Probably because the movie's coming out in a year.
Yes,
and
probably.
They're filming it right now.
What else do we get? Mach 1 stands for Mobile Armored Cyber Harness. Great. Why did I write down all of these details? I found these very interesting for some reason. And then the Rat Pack is spotted, so they're off. They fly around on a V-wing. It's just like a giant boomerang that they all stand on as it glides around. I really like this thing.
I do like that Techno's like, you might say I'm the most important member.
Yeah.
Because I built Mach 1's thing and also Songbird's neck thing. So I'm kind of the main guy.
Yeah, some of them wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for me. But so they're flying towards the Rat Pack. They've been spotted, and Citizen V can kind of tell this is a trap. So he flies away. They all fly away. Meanwhile, there's a lady named Dallas Reardon. She's on the phone with the mayor. And the mayor is telling her, hey, the public and the press all love the Thunderbolts. The Avengers were like a federal team, but I want this team connected to the city. That's going to be your job.
Is this Giuliani at this point?
I think it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's 1997.
Yeah.
I can picture him saying that on the other end.
When he was America's mayor.
Yeah.
Cut to the World Trade Center destroyed in this issue, and then fixing it.
It's fine. It's not destroyed.
It's fine. The Thunderbolts run into the Wrecking Crew, friends of the show. They're looking great. I really love their designs here. Bagley's art on the Wrecking Crew, I think is great. Techno. I love Techno here being like, the Wrecking Crew, but we can't fight them. They're Citizen V finishes his sentence like, they're dangerous felons and we're going to take them in. Like, yep. So let's see what happens during this fight. Songbird goes to save some civilians, but Mach 1 saves her. The Wrecking Crew knock out Atlas. They throw a giant thing at Meteorite to knock her out. They rip the arm off the Statue of Liberty. Oh, these villains. Everyone is aghast.
Yeah, it's in the name. They're the Wrecking Crew.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Do they have like a boat? How'd they get all the way out there?
I guess they must have.
Yeah, they could have swam there.
How did they get out there?
Maybe that one with the giant ball and chain. They can do like a throw it and everyone holds on and they all fly.
Okay, like a massive fastball special or something. Okay,
something like that.
Or they just took the ferry.
That too. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities.
Wearing trench coats. I hope they're all wearing trench coats on the ferry.
Just 4 6'6" guys wearing trench coats, like nothing to see.
Carrying that ball and chain. They say they tell the Thunderbolts surrender, or we're going to bring the whole statue down on national TV. And there's a nice scene with Techno. Techno is like, who cares? And Zemo, Citizen V is like, well, this thing is a symbol. It's very important. We got to save it.
I did say like it wouldn't play well in Peoria, but I feel like people have like there's a lot of like tribalism where like New York sucks now, so like the people in Peoria may not care. If New York gets fucked, they probably would actually. No.
This is the page with the bad faces that I was talking about.
Yeah, this is a double issue. I wouldn't be surprised with
the Wrecking Crew on this page is like, what happened to your faces? You guys just get stung by bees. 'Cause, like, look at the. Is that the guy in red? Which one is that?
I don't know any of their names. They said a lot of their names here too, and I didn't clock any.
I know Wrecker, I know Thunderball, and I know Bolt. So this must be Pile Driver is the guy I don't know. Because Thunderball is the black guy. That's
easy to remember.
Easy to remember. Wrecker is, of course, the main one. Purple, mask, green outfit. Yeah. And then the Bulldozer is the guy with the Juggernaut helmet. So
yes, because he's a bulldozer. He's the one doing the dozing. Okay.
So Pile Driver, I don't know what anything about him makes you think about pile drivers, but he is just has a red mask, and like I said, he looks like he was stung by a bee. His face looks really weird. But then Mach 1 shoots knockout gas,
nerve gas or something. Yeah.
Into his mouth. Very funny image.
Yes, and it's like, oh, that's not close quarters enough to like make them actually pass out. So Songbird creates little pink bubbles around their heads to trap the gas in. I love that. Except one of them has the Juggernaut helmet. He's not. He can't be trapped like that. I feel like he could have actually.
Yeah, he just like bank shot it in. You can still get
there's nothing stopping you from putting a shield around their head. But Atlas shows up. He's mad, almost died in the water, like completely knocks him into another zip code. And the public start cheering for them. And they're like, hey, y'all hear that? They're cheering for us. Then Dallas Reardon shows up to talk to them, congratulates them on behalf of the mayor. Atlas thinks she is gorgeous. What's happening there? Then the Thunderbolts repair the Statue of Liberty. There's positive news stories going around like crazy. They got merch selling like crazy with their little Thunderbolt logo. Interview with Spider-Man, who's like, they're okay in my book. The new Warriors are like, yeah, the more the merrier. But I like Speed.
What other Mark Bagley designed or worked on books can we shoehorn in here?
It is, yeah, you're right. I didn't realize it was a lot of Mark Bagley characters. I really like Speedball's line here too. I was like, why don't we ever get press this good? Which is it's very enjoyable. I think most superhero teams always get bad press.
Yeah. I mean, it's your own fault.
Yeah. Black Widow, former leader of the Avengers, the only one who's still around anywhere. She gets a quick little interview. She's like, yeah, I think it's a good thing. Excuse me. She doesn't really want a part of it. Team's watching all this at their lair, and Citizen V comes in without his mask on. Presumably, maybe some of them haven't seen him without his mask on. Moonstone is kind of shocked, and he's like, "Oh, ugly, huh? You prefer it with a mask on? But why don't I put on my older mask, the mask of Baron Zemo? And what if I call all of you by your old villain name?" And
for whose benefit?
Just to remind everyone. And we see that Techno was the Fixer. Mach 1 is the Beetle. Songbird was Screaming Mimi. Atlas was Goliath, and Meteorite was Moonstone. And that's where that issue ends, except with a little, we see that teenage girl, Haley Takahama, again. She's trapped in a cell, just waiting for somebody to save her. Yeah. That's Thunderbolts #1. So, yeah. I hadn't read this in forever. I still like it. It's good stuff. Okay. You had read this before, Chris. But Vince, you've never read this at all, right?
I read the first issue and then nothing else because I just I think I needed to know where it's going, and I think honestly it's a fun first issue, but it's all building in service of the final page reveal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although now knowing where it's going, maybe not as much because it's still setting up the team dynamics of them they're infighting. Techno is clearly your Hawkeye, Wolverine hothead who's gonna get people in trouble, and kind of Raphael, he's gonna kind of fuck up the team. So those dynamics are in play, but aside from that final page, it feels very much like a generic. This is the first issue of a book. They're gonna fight 1 to 2 different villains to establish yeah, we beat the Wrecking Crew. We did this other thing. We're trying really hard. And I think at the time I was reading Runaways and Young Avengers, which was a little more engaging and felt more vibrant to me at the time than this issue of Thunderbolts. That said, I fucking love the premise. And I'm excited. This is gonna be my time to really legitimately read it. And then I know later Thunderbolts, the Warren Ellis run, which I think Moonstone and Songbird are in.
Yeah.
So I know, I guess they I don't know if they survived this run, but they definitely survived to be 10 years later in Marvel somehow. So I'm excited about that part of it. And I'm excited. I think it's just a great premise for a comic. I'm glad we're doing it for a long read.
Yeah, and you're right. This is a very just introducing a new superhero team, and all just in service of that last page. But it is sort of okay, now that we actually know the premise, we can get into the premise with the next issue. So.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I kind of go half and half on it's a great final page reveal, but also this was 38 pages. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't tell Busiek how to write, but I'm is that something you reveal in the first act of the issue, and then go from there, or it seems weird to read 38 pages to get to the hook of the book.
Sure.
And Chris, I don't know, or Kia, did y'all read this contemporaneously? What was the promotion of it? Was it big secret at the time, or did y'all even know?
I did not read it contemporaneously. I imagine it was a big secret. That's what I've gathered from just remembering everything and seeing stuff. I remember seeing ads about it actually in other comic books that I was reading at the time.
Who are the Thunderbolts?
Who are the Thunderbolts? Yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think they were secretive about it. But no, I didn't read this until I don't know, at least 5 or 6 years after it came out.
At least in my shop, it was not a big secret. I think they had been in an issue of Incredible Hulk or something. They'd made one other appearance. But yeah, this was people I think had already, at least some people online had already guessed, and it was not a huge reveal. But it's also just you have to understand that if you're just picking this up off the rack, if you know that there's a big twist or whatever, discover the shocking secret. You can just flip to the last, couple of pages. It is, it's not there's anything stopping you from flipping through the book.
Yeah, I don't have to sit through 90 minutes of a Shyamalan movie to get to that twist. Yeah.
No. But I will say, so I mean, what I think is cool on a reread, and again, to compare it again to The Boys, the show, not The Boys, the comic, which we read the first arc of and it stunk. Mm-hmm. I think it's cool that it is a like a group of heroes directly playing to the media, and they're doing it because they're manipulating the media and they're evil. Like, I think that's a cool concept. I know you're comparing it to like other team books, but like I had never seen a team book do that before, and I really didn't ever see it until we started seeing the the kind of like Wildstorm and other kind of Image and those types of books start, and then Warren Ellis kind of doing that as like beyond parody with the boys.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Warren Ellis did like the Authority and
right.
Slightly less absurdist versions of it. But yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's a cool idea, and like in most books, it would feel like just sort of filler that they're setting up like this mayor's aide character, but it's like she's going to be a major character for the next 12 issues. So it's cool that like this is bringing in New York City politics in a way that like really only Spider-Man ever does in terms of like the larger Marvel Universe stuff. And it's always just that like Spider-Man can't catch a break. Everyone hates him. So like having characters deliberately position themselves, and again, like I think it's not an accident that Baron Zemo is like, these rubes will fall for this if I just wear an American flag over my purple outfit.
Yep.
I just think Kurt Busiek in general is really good at writing team books. Like it's always, for a book that introduces a bunch of new characters, I feel like they all have enough of an individual personality or something going on that I'm just like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's
like both powers and like a personality quirk.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you immediately get that. Yeah, like Moonstone is kind of like the number two, and like I said, kind of an instigator. You get that Fixer Techno is going to be kind of a hothead problem guy. Like it's they do a good job of setting up, and I guess Atlas Goliath more of a traditional, just kind of angry hothead. But yeah, I really like the setup of it, and I think it's cool. That we are. It is not solely reliant on the twist. You don't have to be like, oh no, like the twist is just like, oh, like where is this going?
Yeah.
And it does. It also, I think it's cool that it makes you go back to when Citizen V is like, no, we have to like live under a crappy pizzeria or whatever. It's like he wants people to say like, wow, they're trying so hard to help society and blah blah blah.
It feels like Patriot and Young Avengers, like they're just struggling. These are just these struggling kids like trying to protect their neighborhood.
Yeah, whereas they could immediately upgrade their standard of living, but they're like, no, we have to look like from to the outside, like we're scrapping by so that people will give us things.
It's great media manipulation. I think that's a good point because like Busiek is like Astro City and Marvels. Like he knows like how like real world people view superheroes, and I think that's like this is more of a traditional superhero book, but like that's still front and center, which is really cool.
Right. Yeah, that's like the cool merging of like the journalism, politics stuff of Marvels with a traditional superhero book. And like I said, I think it's just a fun dynamic. I am excited to read on. We don't get a ton of Screaming Mimi, Songbird, or Mach 1. Like I feel like they have like 3 lines basically. But we'll see the rest of them, and I feel like we're getting almost too much of Techno Fixer, but we'll see what happens to all of them.
We will see. So yeah, next time we're going to continue on to Thunderbolts number 2, and for our main read next time, we've all got X-Men Fever, that X-Men 97 show. It's really good.
I told you guys.
I still need to watch it. I keep forgetting. I could have watched it today while I was folding laundry, and I forgot about it. I need to do that.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. I'm an episode behind, which I've heard is probably the weakest episode they've done so far. But
I would agree with that, but it's still good, Like I didn't dislike it, but compared to everything else, it is like, okay, just another episode. So that's where we're at. It also has a video game interlude episode, which really reminded me of that I Hate Fairyland issue. But yeah, so I didn't actually say what we're doing next time. We're just talking about X-Men. We are going back to some old X-Men. We're reading God Loves, Man Kills from the Marvel graphic novel line. It's the fifth one they did in 1982 by Chris Claremont with art by Brent Anderson. I have never read this. We've talked about it a ton. This is like
the Stryker book, right? The like X-Men 2 was.
Yes, X-Men 2 very loosely based on.
Okay.
I can't believe we've never read this. You're sure we haven't read this?
Yes, I am sure.
Okay.
It's we I think we talked about so many of like the classic X books and we just put them off. Like Days of Future Past we didn't get to until like the last 2 years also. So yeah. I'm excited to check this out. This has been like a big book that we haven't read that we've been meaning to for a long time. So I'm excited for that.
It's a very big deal. Tell your friends. Tweet about it. I think those are the only ways of communicating.
Yeah, I don't think Instagram or TikTok are ever going to really take off or anything. So just go on to Twitter. Yeah, that's
write a letter.
Oh,
so you send postcards to your friends.
Write to your senator about our podcast and that we're coming up with an episode.
Yeah, I'll just write to my senator, Senator Kelly.
Uh oh. We don't want Senator Kelly. Get him out of here. But I think that's it for this episode. What else we got going on? Chris, how is the Your Stupid Minds podcast doing?
It's going great. We just had an episode that came out, I believe, a week before this about 10,000 BC, a movie that I do not like at all, that I don't recommend anyone watch. But it was fun to make fun of. A movie that posits, what if pyramids existed, 6,000 years, 7,000 years before pyramids?
Is that Roland Emmerich who also made like Stargate?
It is, and we talk about it. It would have made a lot more sense if it had just been a stealth Stargate prequel.
Oh, fuck. I would watch the shit out of that.
Wait, hold on. I thought this is not the Michael Cera, Jack Black movie?
No, that's year one, which I honestly just watched last week. It's it's a movie, all right. Which I mean, it was fine, but yeah, 10,000 BC. Because he also made 2012. Like he got the both.
He loves years.
He loves watching the worlds get destroyed. Yeah, he made Stargate, which is a good movie. I made him a Moonfall, which was the moon is a secret base or some shit.
Yes. The moon is actually full of nanites or something.
Independence Day, 2012, Day After Tomorrow. Yeah.
But yes, 10,000 BC, one of his worst movies. It somehow has a budget of like $100 million, even though it looks really, really bad, and is a just very. It's hard to even describe. It's like a makeup commercials version of Apocalypto, and that no one's ever in any trouble. It's just beautiful people looking at the camera with their lips parted, and you're like, "This is a movie, I guess."
Wow, very exciting. Vince, you were on a podcast too recently, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I've been on several Games My Mom Found podcasts. I don't think the episode that we just covered. I covered an episode on. I've already forgotten, but that's good because don't tell them that. But yeah. No, Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. I just was on an episode of that. That episode will probably come out in about a month. The episode I did cover recently, it still is probably not, is Shovel Knight, Plague Knight, and also their episode of 1994, the year in gaming, the best video games of 1994. Games My Mom Found, it's a great podcast about video games. You can check me out. I've been on quite a few episodes. Chris has also been on several episodes of theirs talking about Sandman.
Yep.
I think y'all are almost done with Sandman.
Yeah, I think we have either one or two left.
Wow, that's crazy.
1994 is a tough year. There's some good games that year.
I think I posit is the best year. I mean, it's like Super Metroid, Donkey Kong 94, Donkey Kong Country, Illusion of Gaia, Final Fantasy 3, and that's just like on the Nintendo side. Super Metroid, I didn't say that either.
The year with Ocarina of Time, Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid,
98,
also a good year.
Yeah, we'll get there in 4 years. I'll be on that episode. Sure.
Very good, very good. And
Kia, what have you been up
to? I started playing Final Fantasy Remake 7.
The one before the Rebirth?
The first remake,
yes.
Which I guess whatever you call that. It's good.
That's what I've heard.
That's all I got.
I'll have to talk to you about that offline because I'm curious.
And Dave the Diver. I've been playing that too.
I've heard good things about that too.
Cute. It's not a must play, but it's cute.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I got. Oh, they got an Are You Afraid of the Dark video game in 1994.
Wow, best year ever. I beat Baldur's Gate 3. Highly recommend. Very good.
Good job, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Hey, y'all watch that Fallout show yet?
No, I have not. I did try to play New Vegas the first 10 minutes. I got bored with the character creator, and then I was.
I watched the first 2 episodes. It's really good, and I love the stunt casting it does for the one-off characters in episode 2.
Okay, I'll have to watch it to figure out what you're talking about. Because I don't know.
It's if you've seen other shows, it's just, and Kyle MacLachlan is in it as the overseer, which he's in episode 1. I very much assume he'll be back because he's too big of a name to just not be back.
Yeah, I remember Overseers, and I remember Kyle MacLachlan. That guy's cool. I'll watch anything with him.
He was, as I recall, the Kwisatz Haderach. He's the chosen one.
Are you talking about Twin Peaks? Or
Dune?
Yes.
He played
Dune.
Not that.
So I was referencing Dune.
I gotta watch that original Dune at some point.
With Sting playing, Sting's in it.
The Austin Butler character.
Wait, Sting the wrestler or Sting the policeman?
The singer.
The policeman, yeah.
Great,
Sting the policeman, yeah. That's what he should be known as, yeah. All right, if we're talking about Sting in the Dune 1984.
It's time to wrap it up.
All right, thanks everybody for listening. Vince, I love you.
Love you too, bud.
Chris, I love you.
I love... I don't have a clever thing. Sorry, I have to leave.
Get out of here. You ruined the end bit. It's done. We're never doing the end bit again. Listener, we're done with the bit. You don't get to know how I feel about you. The bit is over. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.